Well, hello. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We're starting a new run here. We're going to be working on the Dodge this time around. We brought the truck into the garage, and I got some parts I want to toss onto and change up. Last year, taking it through the mountains and whatnot when I went camping, I could have used a little bit more power, so we bought some power adders for it, and we're gonna. I only want like a little bit more, just a little bit more grunt under it, just so towing's just a little bit easier. So I found myself a new turbo, manifold, injectors. I've got some new valve springs for it, some upgraded head bolts. Over here, I've got the new manifold, the Steed Speed T3 12 valve. Twin scroll manifold. It's got both the ports for the EGT sensors, so I'll probably end up wearing one in each of those, just so I can keep an eye on what my EGTs are. Then we also decided to go with the BorgWarner K27 after reading some good reviews. These are both bought from Power Driven. Yeah, so our goal for right now is to get the old stuff off of here. Past little while, I've just been basically soaking the manifold with WD. Hopefully, get these bolts to free up a little bit easier. If not, I've got my my induction heater, so we can use that to get it all sorted and hopefully heat up what we need to. Hopefully, I don't have to add too much heat and they just come apart. But you know, this thing's a 92, so these bolts have been in place for quite a while. One of the reasons I'm doing the manifold as well, as opposed to just the turbo, is my manifold shrinking, which was apparently a pretty common thing on these, where because of the cast design on it, they start shrinking down and they can risk breaking the ears off the head. So one of the things I want to do was get rid of that, because especially on this one, I'll post a picture a little bit closer of it and how much you can see how much it's moved from on the gasket surface, and like how much everything's kind of shrinked and moved inwards, and I really don't want to break this head. So yeah, I grabbed a new manifold for that and it should be good. But yeah, this is an intake I made for it a little while ago. One of those big filters on it and whatnot. First, get the intake off, pull the intercooler pipe off, undo all the lines, undo the downpipe, and fingers crossed we can get the turbo off without breaking or having too many seized bolts in our way. Again, this has been on here for quite some time. I think my truck's got like 250 some thousand kilometers on it now. So, but it's been doing all right. Hopefully with all these upgrades I don't end up roasting the transmission in it, but you know, we'll deal with that when that happens. You know, let's get to tearing this thing apart. that one's a bit tighter. Oh wow, that one's a bit tighter. Oh dear. There we go. Go. Hey, they all came loose. Look at that. Oh, that's a nice surprise. There's one. One more bolt and then we're there. Alright, get this bitch out here. Holy fuck, that thing's heavy. Alright, so managed to get the manifold off without actually too much of issues. And it came off without having to heat it up or anything like that. Bolts all came free. I don't know if that was just due to my, few weeks of prep of spraying it down every once in a while with some WD, but they all came loose nice and easily. Turbo came off nice. Actually, if you look, you can see how things are pulling away pretty good. Actually, right here, looks like there was a bit of a leak on cylinder number 3 from it stretching out over a bit. A little bit of black soot come out the bottom. I'm just kind of looking at the way that port was and how far over the manifold moved. Not ideal, but that's why we're replacing it, getting a new one in there, so should be good. So next we're going to be pulling out the injectors and getting the valve covers off. So we'll rip this guy off, break all those loose, get the valve covers off so that we can prep for doing the valve springs. and getting those swapped out. Put the new seals for the valve covers because I'm pretty sure a couple of these are leaking on it. Once we have the valve cover off as well, we can get the head bolts swapped out and yeah, get those things, the new ones torqued in there. We're going to swap them out one by one. Valve spring swapped out. Then we'll set our valve lash, get the new injectors in, clean up all the area, see what the valve covers look like under here. If they look like the paint's chipping or something like that, we'll probably repaint them if it's looking okay. After we clean them up, we'll leave them as is. I've got new valve cover gaskets for it as well, so we'll get the surfaces all cleaned up and prepped and should be good to go. But yeah, let's start getting this guy off, and then we'll crack all these lines loose and get those out of here so that we can start pulling those injectors out. Almost fell. Pop that up and out of the way. That out of the way. Huh. That's probably supposed to be attached. Wonder what that's supposed to go to. Oh well. Alright, we got this front set loose now too. Stick out of the way. Just wiggle it the right way. Just pop out of here. There you go. And the front set's out. Here's the new parts that'll be going into it. We got new head bolts. These are our new injectors. Remover tool, we've got the new injectors, we've got our new valve springs and compressor, and then new retainers as well, and some new valve cover gaskets. These are the Hamilton 12 valve heavy duty springs. Get a little bit more strength into them. I'm told, once you start turning up the power and put in a different turbo, apparently the exhaust valve springs are a little bit weak. So guys recommend upgrading, and that's what I decided to go with. And then we've got our injectors here as well. These are sourced from Power Driven. They, I believe they are 12 5s, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure if they're stamped on here or not. I would assume so, but who knows. And then I got their injector puller. Went with this set of head bolts from them as well. They that kit. Tool to install it. So yeah, these should make running this turbo a little bit easier, at least a little bit more confident. So a little bit more power, but not too much, and hopefully some reliability. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, we just gotta. So we got the injection lines off, and we'll be pulling out the injectors next, all down there. We'll pull off the valve covers and start cleaning things up and getting ready for swapping over the valve springs, and then we'll do the head bolts, get those all removed and retorqued down one by one, and then we'll adjust our valve lash, put the new injectors in, and then get the new exhaust manifold put on there, test fit the turbo, make sure that it is going to work. I think I'm going to have to either modify the downpipe or find a way to shove it back a little bit. I just feel like the exhaust housing on the new turbo sits just a little, it's longer because it has a whole bunch of mechanism there, because it actually has a wastegate versus the old turbo, which did not have a wastegate. So we'll see how that all fits. But yeah, let's get into it. Last one. All right, now we'll use this removal tool, which is basically just like a spacer, a washer, and a nut, to pull all these things up and out of there. Right, we just get them all these cracked loose. That feels like it came loose. That's just gonna flop out of there, or what? Oh, look at that. Uno's injector out. You know what? I'm gonna try using the ratchet, or the electric ratchet on it. That worked out actually really well. There's another one out. And there we go, last one out. That tool worked pretty slick. Actually looks pretty good in there. It's fairly clean. Not bad. Not bad for 250,000 some kilometers. Next up, we're going to be pulling off the rocker pedestals for each of our cylinders here so we can get the valve springs off. To do that in a way so we don't end up dropping a valve without actually having to take the head off, we have to bar the engine over to get the piston up to top dead center so that the valves can just kind of like, if they do drop down a little bit, they'll just drop on top of the piston and won't actually drop into the cylinder all the way, making it so that we have to take this off. So we get it all set to top dead center. We'll start with cylinder number 1, get it set to top dead center. I'll just be watching this intake valve either coming up, going down, just kind of seeing where we're at. We'll rip this all off, get the valve spring swapped out, get the pedestal put back on, and then when we go to put this head bolt back in, we'll actually put our other head bolt over here, since we got these guys to upgrade to next. Over here we got upgraded head bolts and hardware, and then over here we got the new springs to go on, and here's the removal tool, and then we'll just got some new keepers and retainers. Then we'll set our valve lash, and that'll be all we need to do inside those valve covers. And once we get that all sorted, we'll move on, finish off doing the rest of the head bolts on there, put the valve covers back on, and move on to the next step. So you look here now, our intake valve should be just going down. It'll be coming back up now. Once that gets to the top, we will be at basically top dead center. You should see the exhaust valve just move just a tiny bit right there. And that'll be crossover. So now number 1 is set to top dead center, and so is number 6. So we can do both of those and then move on to the next pair. Ooh, careful now. So we're having to improvise a little bit here. I'm not sure where I put my magnet, but I can't seem to find it. So instead, we got a little magnet on a pick, and that should allow us to get these keepers out of here. Just like that. There we go. Well, at least it fell to the ground. There we go. Saw the new ones there. Making sure everything's centered nicely before we start cranking it down. And one thing I like to do is I'll put some assembly lube around here. Looks like we might have to go a little bit further in anyway, so press this a little bit more. Keeper kind of clicks into place. Still kind of where they need to be. Nice. There we go. There's one cylinder done. Make sure everything's looking like it's sitting right. That looks good. Feels like things in the right spot. All right. Alright, I'll drop the new head bolt in like that. Cylinder 1 done. Now let's move on to cylinder 6. You son of a... Yo. Alright, there's 1 and 6 done. Now we'll move on to the next pair. Yeah, not very much room there between piston and valve. So yeah, this is why you put it at top dead center. So if the valve does go down, it literally just touches the piston. So same with this guy here. So that's what you're hoping for. One thing I've forgotten to do, I guess, is torque this one. This one pedestal bolt on number 6. On to number 5. Alright, let's just double check them all. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Guess we missed that one. Which is why we go over and check them all again. Anyways, make sure all these head bolts are tight. Move on. So we've got all the valve springs now swapped out. We've also done the head bolts for each pedestal. Next we'll be moving on to the rest of the head bolts. Get those all swapped out. Last remaining ones, get them torqued up, and we'll Move on to setting the valve lash after that. Valve springs are in, head bolts are torqued. Next up, we're going to be doing some valve lash. So to do that, we got to bring each cylinder up to top dead center of their compression stroke to adjust the valve lash. Main reason you want to do that is so that the lobes on your cam are at their base circle so that there is no tension on the rockers, so they move a little bit freely, and then you adjust your valve lash from there. So we're going to start with, of course, cylinder number 1. We'll get it to its top dead center of compression stroke. So we'll be watching number 6 over there for it get it into its overlap, and then we'll know that we're on top dead center number 6. Once we get number 1 set top dead center, we'll adjust its valve lash and then continue on with the rest of the cylinders and get those all sorted. Then we get the valve covers back on, move on to the injectors. We've got number 1 at top dead center now. We're going to measure our valve lash with our feeler gauge here. We got these guys here to measure it out. The spec I found was for intake should be about 10 thou and exhaust should be 20 thou. So we're going to check those, make sure that they're where they need to be, and adjust accordingly. So we'll check intake first. All right, so we can't get the 10 thou in there. 6 fits. So we'll have to loosen this up a little bit. Let's check that now. See if we can get our 10 thou in there. Just barely. And we'll double check by see if we can fit 11 in there. 11 does not fit, but 10 does. So intake on number 1 is done. We'll move on to the exhaust. Ooh, just barely doesn't fit. It's probably just like a little bit out of it, but I like to know exactly what I'm coming from, so shove an 18 in there. Does that fit? 18 fits. So very little change needs to be done. Yeah, can't quite fit 19. There we go. 20 thou fits in, 21 does not. Perfect. All right, now we'll do the same to all the rest of the cylinders. Oh, cool. Oh, they didn't even have to adjust that one. All right, let's see if the exhaust is close too. That'd be handy. It's real nice when you don't have to adjust them. Oh, I think we're a little tight on that exhaust. That's at 19 fit now. Okay, the real test is a 21 fit. Aha. Perfect. Final check. Perfect. Alrighty. Valve lash is set. Now we're gonna got some new gaskets for our valve covers, so we'll get those set on here and get ready to install these things. I think one day I'm gonna want to get these valve covers powder coated or something, but we'll wait on that once we decide to do some more cleanup shit with the engine bay. You can always pull these back off and send them out to get powder coated. Go. There, all new gaskets ready to go. We'll get these valve covers installed next. Just finishing up with the valve covers here, getting them all tightened down. That's where we're going to draw this first episode to an end. Got a decent amount done, getting everything torn apart and new valve springs and everything installed. In the next episode, we'll be tackling the fuel system and doing our first test fit of the manifold. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Nice.